President John Mahama should declare the state of emergency that we have been asking for in the last, how many months? 6 months or more, or about 7 to 8 months or more. Mr. President, the state of emergency has become very important and critical. And as you know, police officers are now dying in trying to fight the galamsey. The people are ruthless. They are armed. And we have seen situations where security officials have had to abandon, the places where they have gone to because they can't match these people. And this morning, we invite all of you to sign onto this petition demanding a revocation, a complete repeal of the LI 2462. It should be repealed and not amended. It's as simple as that. We need that. Repeal it. Don't amend just the portion that gives the president the power to give licenses for mining in the forest reserves. That law, if you offend it, as I said the last time, the maximum penalty you suffer is 1 year jail term, maximum. Or you get a fine of about 3,000 Ghana cedis. That's what it costs to devastate our forests and destroy our lives and threaten every life on this earth. We need to do that, and now. And I'm showing you, you can scan the QR code and go online and join the petition. We have gathered in excess of 3,000 signatures so far. Join us and let's insist that the president revokes, repeals, and not amend LI 2462. We have had a situation where even a judge has claimed or feigned lack of knowledge of the laws that says that if you arrest these people who are doing the wrong thing, the machines and equipment they have should be seized, and then they should be kept in custody. And when they are found guilty, they will be confiscated and distributed by the minister, and a publication in the Gazette will be made to show who received what, so that state institutions that need these heavy, duty machines can use them. The judge said he was unaware and released those, the machines to the people who were involved. Article 146 says that incompetence is a ground for removal of a judge from office. If this is not incompetence, what is it? When the law in 2019 and 2020 was being enhanced as far as the punishments are concerned, President Akufo-Addo said we cannot trust the judges in the exercise of their discretion, and that is why we had to make the law the way it was. Please declare a state of emergency now and make sure all resources are marshaled to mute this thing before it mutes us by disease and by death.
This case is a very sad matter, and I agree with Kofi on this matter, and I even say that this is a clear case of criminal negligence by enemies of the state in the previous management at ECG.
Are you not speaking too early?
No, because we are, as we speak, the facts are very clear. And the facts show that ECG did not have any need for these cables that they kept importing into the country. Every organization, not to talk of a company limited by shares, has a procurement plan for every year and a budget. And in that procurement plan and the budget, the company provides for all the items, the materials, the resources it will need in that fiscal year. Yes, there can be situations where the company exceeds that, you see, but you cannot have a situation where consistently over the years, one organization always exceeds its value procurement plan by 200%, 300%, 400%. In the year 2023, for example,
by nearly 13 billion.
13 billion. Simply doesn't make sense. So clearly somebody stood to benefit from the mere award of these procurement contracts, even though he knew that ECG had no need for that. Again, Sampson, we know as a matter of fact, and ECG itself has conceded, that none of these contracts were awarded in accordance with the public procurement law. The ECG claims that it is a limited liability company, and therefore its IGF is exempt from the scope of the public procurement law, which is clearly not the case. Section 14(1)(d) of the public procurement law says that the law governs procurement with IGF or public institutions as well. They are making reference to a certain legal opinion authored by the former Attorney General, which legal opinion was not addressed to them but the Ministry of Finance, and which legal opinion has not been upheld by the PPA. Forgetting that the Attorney General himself is a member of the governing board of the PPA. If you want an exemption to use established commercial practices for your procurement as a company, the law says apply to the PPA and let the PPA give you expressly that exemption. They didn't have that, yet they kept on awarding contracts in breach of law. Need we remind them that there are people languishing in jail today in the NCA matter for breach of the same public procurement law, and that an EC chairperson lost her job allegedly for breaching the public procurement law. If you read the public procurement law, what they have done is totally criminal. And I am hoping that if for nothing at all, that will be pursued by the state. Aside that, you look at the sheer wickedness, okay? You import things that ECG doesn't need. The things arrive at the airport. You have a shipping unit at ECG that is supposed to clear these things. And then you always give excuses that you don't have money to clear them. You don't have money to clear the containers, yet you keep importing more containers. I mean, if you read the report of the committee set up to investigate this matter, ECG has spent in excess of 909 million cedis on just demurrage. 900 and almost 1 billion new Ghana cedis.
And when we say demurrage, we mean penalties.
Penalties.
You are keeping
for delaying, declaring,
and you are not removing them at the port. It incurs demurrage.
Taxpayers' money. I mean, these are public funds. Today, that ECG is owing about 68 billion cedis. Who is being called upon to pay? The people of Ghana. So why will you do this to your country? And you see, the saddest part is not even this part of Sampson. When they allow the containers to pile up and accumulate huge demurrage on grounds that they don't have money, then they go surreptitiously to award contracts to clearing agents, some of whom don't even have custom clearance. They award contracts to clearing agents. Then the clearing agents are pre-financed by the ECG, the same ECG which said they didn't have money to clear the goods. In the case of Mint Logistics, they pre-financed them by 30 million cedis. Gave another company 127 million cedis contract to clear the goods. They say, no, we will give a contract to someone else to do it, pay huge monies to that company in breach of law. You see, these things have gone on for a long time. And today we are being told that 1,346 containers equivalent to $489 million. $1 million cannot be accounted for. I mean, this is mind-boggling. This is completely unacceptable. Okay. And I am happy that the Minister for Energy, let me commend him for how transparent he has been on this matter and his determination to get to the bottom of this matter. I'm happy that he has written beyond the investigations conducted by the committee he constituted. He's written to the NIB to take this matter up and investigate it. We don't want any excuses. The NIB must give us timelines. This cannot be treated as business as usual. We want to know where the containers which cannot be accounted for are, who was responsible for saying those in breach of public procurement law in the award of all these contracts and all that. Let's get to the bottom of this matter and let the laws of this country work.
Thank you very much.
The containers are not missing. The containers have documents covering them. There are paid officials who were superintending their movement. They know where those containers are, and they must be made to answer questions. In the law of evidence, when you are the person with information and you are asked the information and you don't supply the information, everything adverse will be attributed to you. In other words, when the containers landed, there were papers covering them. There was an officer in charge. When they were put in a certain place, papers covering them. Try to take even a box of things out of the pot, and you understand what I'm saying. The different hoops you have to go through. So, Sampson, what I'm saying is this. Somebody has information about where the containers are, and that person is in a pot. That person should be made to answer whether he's in office or out of office. If we are not an anarchic state, a proper investigation will determine where these things are.
In fact,
we will find them and prosecute people.
You have followed the group with the cameras.
Yes.
To the Pram and elsewhere,
yes,
where they have seen some
yes,
of the containers and the wires in there.
Yes.
And you see that they use car rims.
Rims to cover them, yeah.
To cover them up. Yeah. It's the material that we...
I didn't want to digress, but that's what I'm saying. Even where they steal and they try to hide, you can track it. Look, in this country, police were able to find a dead body under concrete. The containers are not missing. In a functioning state, we will find them, and the people who are involved will either answer questions or go to jail.
Police also arrested a truck that was going to A+'s constituency. Yeah. And the allegation is that it appears that during the transition, that is when some of these things happen, you know, the grabbing that was going on, alleged. Yeah. This was part of it. The police arrested that vehicle as well, and they saw some of those wires. The ECG is the only one that procures them for the country.
Anarchic states. That truck came through a port, came through police barriers, came through all kinds of state systems that must work. So again, if we are not a system whose officers can choose what to do and what not to do, like you said, they could trace it. Look, and the minister may not be, Minister Jinapor may not be a security person or whatever it is. With just a little effort, you can find all the places they have been hidden. So look, Sampson, my point is those containers are not missing. They were in somebody's custody at a particular point. And then after that point, we couldn't find them anymore. That last point, whoever is in charge there should be made to answer these questions. We can't afford to continue this anarchic arrangement.
Sampson, this is organized crime. It's organized crime that is very deep rooted, and it's rotten to the core. It starts from ECG and ends up at the ports. So it's something that is extremely serious. Okay, let's look at ECG as an institution, because that is really the crux of the problem. Without all the lapses and all the collusion and things going on there, we would not be where we are now, which is in a very sorry and sad state. Okay, to all of our detriment. Look at the kinds of monies that are being mentioned. We need that money. There's so much that we have to do as a nation. And the president has inherited practically nothing, and debt upon debt upon debt. And why is that the case? Because a few selfish people consistently keep deciding that they can just help themselves to garner money, and enough is enough. How can someone be sitting? First of all, they don't believe they are subjected to the procurement laws. Sami addressed that issue. I find that argument extremely problematic. And it is sad that an attorney general in this country actually came up with an opinion to that effect. How can you say you're not subjected to the procurement law? You are a public institution. You only have one shareholder. That shareholder is government. That shareholder is government. You are, public funds. The act is very clear. It's very clear. It's public funds, whether it's internally generated, whether it's a grant, whether it's a loan, etc., etc. It's all public funds. And also, if you look at the institutions which have been exempted, like the banks, we can all see why. They are operating purely in a competitive environment with other banks. Some of them are even foreign with parents with very deep pockets. So they have to be freed up to go and pursue the business of banking. But you are a near monopoly, if not a monopoly. All of us here in this building, we all buy our electricity from ECG. So we don't have a choice. We have to go there. So, I find that argument fallacious, it's problematic, and it shouldn't even be entertained at all. And also, one more thing I'll say to that is that ECG itself knows that it is subjected to these rules. If not, why would you consistently over the years keep going to an institution called the Public Procurement Authority of Ghana to seek exemptions if you don't believe you are subjected to the rules? It doesn't make sense. If you believe you're exempt, why go there? What are you going there to do? And then you continue, they say no, and you just ignore it. I mean, you're a state-owned enterprise. How do you ignore the laws that you're supposed to be setting an example? How do you ignore the laws of the state? So, and then the CEO, I understand, has a personal limit of $1 million. That's over 15 million Ghana cedis. Over 15 million. So he can sit in his office and decide to. So I want to know who arrogated that authority to him. Was the board involved? And in all of this, I haven't heard anyone mention the board. Look, under the Companies Act, the obligations, the duties, the responsibilities of directors are very clear. They owe a fiduciary duty to the company and by extension to all of us as Ghanaians. This is a public entity. So where are the directors in all of this? How do you go and approve a company to go and do clearance which doesn't even have a license? I mean, the lapses are so many. It's you know, so yes. I mean, and when you hear these values, it's just chilling. You know, it's mind blowing. So I'm very happy with what the minister is doing. I commend him for it, and I think he has to drill down and find these things out. Everything in the port is electronic, so it can be traced.
Yeah. Right.
It's very clear, and I don't think
actually the former MD Samuel Dubik says the point you just made. He says even if it is lost at sea, you will be notified because it has a unique number that can be tracked anywhere. So did they track the numbers and they didn't find them, or they are just resorting to the fiscal counts? Containers that are in the custody of customs and Ghana Port and harbors, what does that have to do with ECG? Did the containers get missing in the custody of ECG? The investigative team never contacted me. Meanwhile, I have not gone anywhere and I won't go anywhere. So what was the rationale behind that? If they wanted to do a thorough investigation, they should have called me.
I don't even know where to begin with this one, because what he's saying, yes, it got, if you look, it's a very simplistic argument. Let me start off on that basis. Very simplistic argument. If he doesn't see the correlation between what is happening in ECG and says it has nothing to do with them, then I have very big problems with that. Okay. And I think every well-meaning Ghanaian who loves their country will have a problem with it. You are the MD of ECG. You are the ultimate, you know, other than the board under which you operate, you are responsible for everything that happens. He himself should be able to answer some of these questions.